trying to pop it out, bro. Never pull out. Spit on it. Just spit on it.
Don't fix it. Well, you don't pull out. Why do you spit on my face? My bad.
Everybody hears us already? Oh. Well, we're just over here talking about spitting on it, you guys. Sometimes you just gotta spit on it.
Sometimes don't fit. Words live by. Spit.
Where do you spit on it?
Another galaxy.
Yeah, I have a super short buffet.
You know they're out.
Super short.
Thought I was gonna go work tomorrow. Lost it. So I was like, yeah, we can't catch tomorrow. We're coming Friday. I'm like, okay.
Oh, dope. I'm on winter hours, and we're not having much winter right now.
You know they're out there, don't
Yeah, it
you?
was in the 60s.
Yeah, it's wild. It's a lot better than mine. Yeah, I know. I have to keep my head warm somehow. You got all that hair to help you out. Are we going to talk about the stuff and the things tonight, or just the stuff? Okay. Perfect. Ugh. You know what I was thinking about doing this winter? Streaming video games again. What's up?
Picture you sent me chicken installs.
Oh yeah, I just had to like update too right before that. That's why I didn't send it. That's why I wasn't here like right at 6:30. It was like, you have an update, and I was like, oh okay, this will be quick. Fucking like 10 minutes later. It's because my computer's old as fuck, bro. I mean, maybe not old as fuck, but it's definitely like old as fuck. Oh, in Apple years, bro, this thing's ancient. This is a 2015. Mm-hmm.
Apple years, that's like a dinosaur.
Yeah, bro.
Another galaxy.
That's just what I tell you about wearing pants and walking behind the camera.
Bro, you just won't learn.
You know they're out there. You know they're out
Like, how else are we gonna get kicked off YouTube if you keep wearing pants, Jay?
Right. And you're not wearing that G-string I bought you. I'm very upset. I spent all that money on this bedazzled G-string for fucking Duchess and he refuses to fucking wear it.
Thing's got real fucking diamonds
You know
down the
they're
back
out there,
piece.
don't you?
Real diamonds between those cheeks, and he doesn't
put
want
like a
to wear it.
plug on there too for safety.
I know, it's fitted, it's secure. That way he doesn't lose it.
I didn't want to put the tail because I feel
I feel like if you got like a little bunny tail. Just a little puff.
like Jack the Magic
Duchess. Cottontail loyalty. We're talking about your little bunny butt plug.
He's like, what?
What?
Oh,
Yeah. It's because you ended up shoving that cotton ball butt plug in your ears. Wrong hole there, bud. Can people actually hear us right now? Is this a legitimate? I'm so sorry, everyone. Damn it, Corey. This is supposed to be a family-friendly channel. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, I Duchess blames China, and so do I.
Oh, it's fucking 6 o'clock already. We should probably start this. Well,
Oh, yeah, they can.
In the history of television, great men and women have brought us up-to-the-minute news as it happens. From the moon landing to the dangers of secondhand smoke. Sometimes they even make us laugh. The one thing that stays the same, everyone wants to know what's in the news. From the Voss News Network, your hosts, Poonsauce McNasty, and to give the show some credibility, Logan Exhales.
Over here bopping, bro.
And now, back to the studio.
Bopping. Kevin says never apologize, Logan.
What
All right,
is
I'll never
going
apologize.
on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of What's in the News. Of course, you know who we are by now, and you just heard our shenanigans we just talked about. We talked about butt plugs for a good 5 minutes. So, X1 in chat, if you think we should get Duchess to get a furry bunny, a little butt plug to walk around with, this is a bedazzled G-string. I feel like we need an X1 in chat.
You guys understand, though, that it has to happen at my house. Like, I actually don't want to witness this.
That's the cool thing about it, is we
can
all agree on this, but you're the one that has to deal with the consequences.
And so do my neighbors, because the windows are just wide open. I don't know where my window is.
Dutch just walking around with the buddy foo-foo with his cup of coffee in the morning.
Bro, this YouTube would get taken down so quick.
Don't you just imagine just the morning stretch in front of the window with a cup of coffee? Seeing way too much that nobody needs to see ever.
My neighbor's outside walking her dog out back. She's just like...
And instantly starts vomiting. Just like looks at the window. All over the dog.
The dog just fucking rolls over.
It's all over the dog too. She just vomits on the dog. So yeah, we just got...
That's animal abuse.
It's whatever the person had in the morning that they intook.
Yeah.
He just wasted food.
Okay, enough about all of this, because this is horrible. Let's get this show
This is
started.
a weird fucking area, really quick. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of What's in the News. Of course, you know who we are, and we're here to talk about some things and stuff and things, you know. All the kind
For
of...
anyone new here, that's Corey, and I'm Logan.
No, actually, you're Corey. I'm Logan.
Oh, fuck. I always get this wrong. Man, I always get this wrong.
Right, it's fucked up, man. But... yeah, we got a decent amount of things to talk about this evening. It's going to be a more of a faster paced show this evening, but we got some good news, some news, and then we're going to end it with some good news again, just because I found this funny. We're going to have a funny article this week, guys, because I found a really good one that Logan doesn't know about. And
I don't know anything about it.
all I saw when I read it was just the title, and Logan instantly heard me start to laugh, and it's going to be good. So
That's enough for me.
But it's not a vape show. It's not anything with vape content unless we start out with the buffets. So since you have a shorter buffet, Logan, what do you got? You're vaping on tonight.
This little guy right here, this is the Vaporesso GTX1. Got a Reload 22 sitting on top of her with a Saddle Horse Blues MTL on the inside. And in that, I have this unlabeled bottle of liquid goody goodness. That is some blood orange champagne from DIY or Die in his liquid barn collection. 10 milligram. It's a beautiful thing. And last but not least, this evening I've got the Titan V2 original recipe recoil on top with a Macron, a Swifty Macron sitting on top of there from DHD. I've got some Duchess coils on the inside, and I've got a little Hoggetts Yogurts glazed strawberry and shortbread ice cream going on, which is a little outside of my wheelhouse, but delicious.
Very nice, very nice.
That's it. That's it. That's my buffet.
Okay.
This is like only one plate tonight. Like I didn't go back up for seconds at the buffet.
I remember that one day you had like 5 things in your rotation.
Bro, it was wild. And then after that day that I had 5, I ended up, I think, doing a stream or something where I built like 1 or 2 more things. And then I was like, holy fuck, I have so many vapes right now. It's too much. I had to tear a bunch of stuff down.
Okay, well, I have a few things going. Of course, the old school, that never dies. The Sigelli 213 with the Type 2. On top, got some Breeze Tones 28s in there. I think this is a Half Moon Mods, whatever 510 tip it is. I don't know, but inside of there, I got some butter number 2, whatever my last of it is. It's the jam biscuit meringue cream, which is delicious. And then got my Lazy Vapors DNA 75C 21700 with the GT4S, a single clown alien on the inside of that. Feeling like a 0.2. And inside of there, I got some, was this Strappleberry from Liquid Temptations.
Ooh.
And then I got my big boy, my Leviathan DNA 250C from Death Wish with some Breeze Tones 28s inside of the Trilogy with Dat Money Dough Chop Top.
That money dough.
Yeah, and inside of there, what do I have in there? I got some of this Taft Blue Raz from Crumbs because it's pretty good. It's actually, because most Blue Raz flavors I've had are like too in your face.
Sure.
But this one is just like mellow enough to where it's just very, very satisfying and delicious. So probably one of the better Blue Raz flavors I've had, which is good.
Yeah, Blue Raz just tends to be overly sweet and candy.
Which this isn't at all, which is awesome. It's definitely up there on like steep because there's like a, let me see if I can get the color.
Oh,
It has like a nice golden color to it, so it's has some steep time in it, but it's delicious. But that's it for me, really. So yeah, so we got a few things to talk about this evening. Of course, you saw in the title that we wanted to mention that the nicotine tax that everybody's known with, there's been a call to action on CASA about it for about almost 2 months now, I think. Something close to there.
For a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So we all know that it went on the Build Back Better Act, which is like pretty much a big bill when it comes to with the House and all that kind of stuff.
It's a huge spending bill. It's a $9 trillion bill.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
I believe. Don't quote me on that number,
so
but I believe
we all knew that
trillion.
it got added onto there because I forgot who's the representative who wanted it added on there. I forgot his name. What state was he out of? I thought it was like Kentucky or something like that. It was somebody out of the state of Kentucky or like one of those like.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now.
Well, we had some good news. For now, it has been removed from the act, which is a great thing because this tax would have been insane. We all know. We kind of, I think it was a couple episodes back, we actually talked about like how much the tax would be when it comes to like per.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just outrageous. I think it would be almost like an extra $20 a bottle, pretty close. But when it comes to the like spending money on nicotine,
some of them. I mean, you're like 30 mils of like salts, like high milligram, like 50 milligram salts. Like a 30 mil bottle would have cost you an additional like 40 something dollars in just taxes. Yeah, insanity.
So it's kind of like a short sigh of relief that this is gone from there, even though we know that there's most likely going to be a point in time to where the same nicotine tax is going to be introduced somewhere else.
Sure. I mean, the biggest thing is like they're trying to create like a tax parity between cigarettes and other nicotine products, consumer products, so patches, vapes, because there currently is no federal tax on vapor products.
Right.
And so that's this big push. It's a big ploy to try to get a tax parity through. The biggest issue is there's no good way to set an equivalent standard really between a nicotine product like an e-liquid and cigarettes. Like that parity, that equivalence doesn't exist just because of the vast differences in tanks and the way we vape and how we vape. And yeah, it just doesn't exist, and they're just trying so desperately for it. But yeah, even though this was removed, this bill has not been signed.
Right.
And this has been removed once before and then was brought back in. So this has every opportunity to come back again. It's just as it currently stands, it is no longer in the bill. So it's a good thing, but we all still need to keep pressure going. That's the biggest thing right now. We have to keep that. Yeah.
We have a couple of representatives now, like one, Catherine Cortez out of Nevada, who was one of the people that helped kind of get this thing off it right now. I know that for what other state that was there. There was somebody else. I know it was Cortez.
I know Cinema has been opposed to it.
Yeah.
Mansion's been opposed to it. So,
and so like, I think it was
it's
last
just,
Thursday.
it's one of those things where like, yes, we need to, we can celebrate that this was removed, but it's nothing set in stone until Biden signs that final bill.
Right.
So until it has a signature on it, anything can change. And I think that if you've been in this game long enough, you know that that anything can change. So like we can't have like a too early premature celebration just yet. But yeah, as it stands, it's out of the bill. But again, keep that pressure going. Kassa's keeping that call to action live. And this isn't like a one and done thing. Like I've done this call to action a number of times now. And everybody else should be doing the same thing. If you've done it, go do it again.
Yeah, 100%. If you want to see all the coverage for this nicotine tax, Vaping 360 has done a lot of coverage on it. Jim McDonald does great work over there. So here's the one where it's just talking about removing the tax from the bill. And of course, in that same article, it has all the hot links for previous coverages going all the way back from October 25th, 2019. Because that's how far this nicotine tax goes. So it's every coverage from that to it, so you can stay up to date on like how it's changed, if it's increased or decreased.
I think back in 2019, this was actually originally a standalone bill.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, and then it was kind of redrafted into the Build Back Better plan.
Because when it was first introduced, I think it was in April of this year, is when Durbin reintroduced it as to kind of get it.
Yeah, snuck it in with everything else.
Yeah, so.
Yep.
It's a great kind of group of articles to keep track of, kind of keep yourself educated when it comes to what's going on with this. So if you let's have a situation where you work in a shop or something like that, you can have this knowledge on hand to where you can actually inform the public on what's going on about a nicotine tax and all that stuff and get more people involved that come into the shop, which is always a great thing. So that article is there for you guys for just good kind of informational base right there. But moving on to, we want to talk about our neighbors far, I think they're more neighbors of Australia than neighbors of us.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
Most certainly.
But we wanted to talk about New Zealand for a little bit because this is a pretty cool thing. Really, really cool thing because they have some kind of goal going on right now. They recently, I believe it was it like last week, I think it was, or like was it earlier this week or last week? Where somebody from the health committee actually went on and pretty much they have a goal for the country of New Zealand right now, which is to be completely smoke free by 2025. So
that won't happen.
It's very difficult.
Even this smoke free by 2025 thing, even with this plan, is kind of a long shot.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Because I know they had like different ideas for like each year, kind of raising the age to purchase or something like that, and each year kind of.
So yeah, as opposed to having a purchase age limit, they are setting a purchase date limit.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone born on or before a certain date, if you were born after that date, you will no longer be able to purchase tobacco products.
Which is a cool thing, because there's somebody in New Zealand that I want to give a lot of props to. She's, where was her name? I just saw her name. What the hell, where'd it go? Okay, there, wait, no. Okay, so she's the Associate Health Minister for New Zealand. Her name is Dr. Aisha Verrill, I think it is. And she went up and actually talked during this hearing about their wanting to do this, and she made one kind of thing about it that was talking about, like, Let's just start reading here, and I'll kind of see if this is what she said is in here. If it's not, I'll kind of explain a little bit. So New Zealand has announced a suite of proposals aimed to outlaw smoking for the next generation and moving to the country closer to its goal of being smoke-free by 2025. The plan includes the gradual increase of legal smoking age, which could extend to a ban on the regular sale of regular cigarettes and tobacco products for anyone born after 2004, making smoking effectively illegal for that generation. Also under consideration was a significant reduction in the level of nicotine allowed in tobacco products, prohibiting filters, setting a minimum price for tobacco, and restricting the locations where tobacco and cigarettes can be sold. What she said here is, like, we need a new approach. About 4,500 New Zealanders die every year from tobacco, and we need to make accelerated progress to be able to reach the goal of smoke-free 2025. Business as usual without a tobacco control program won't get us there. The proposals were welcomed by a number of public health organizations. This proposal goes beyond assisting people to quit let's see, Kansas Society's chief executive Lucy Elwood said in a statement that she noted that a number of tobacco retailers was 4 times higher in low-income communities. Their smoking rates were the highest. So before I move on a little bit, I want to kind of just throw this link to what we're reading this off of. The Guardian is a great kind of platform when it comes to a lot of vaping news around the world, I would say. They're pretty good when it comes to being a non-biased kind of realm of...
Not always.
Well, from what I've seen, at least. I haven't gone really deep into it, but this is a pretty damn good article, so I want to share that with you guys. It's in chat for everybody. So let's see what it is. Where else can we go? So yeah, their plan to be smoke-free by 2025. I mean, it's a very, very short chance that that's going to be a possibility. I mean, that's going to be something that's...
I don't know exactly what New Zealand's smoking prevalence rate for what they would consider smoke-free is, but the, I don't know, WHO kind of standard or whatever for what you would consider a smoke-free country is having a smoking prevalence below 5%.
But I wanted to make notice of, during the hearing, actually, I believe what her name was, what I just said earlier, Aisha Verrill said that it's a very good possibility, they said, too, because she even mentioned vaping being one of those lower risk kind of alternatives to smoking cigarettes that are available. So knowing that people within the health, their association of health within New Zealand has showing vaping as a nicotine alternative for people to quit smoking, that's a great sign, in my opinion. Because knowing that their health department...
I mean, if you're going to implement any kind of plan like this, where we're going to apply force to people quitting, if we're going to use coercion, which we can get more into why I don't agree with a whole lot of this plan, and that's one of the main reasons. But if you're going to implement something like this, you have to give people a place to land. And at least they are promoting vaping to a degree.
Yeah, which is better than not even giving it as an option of an alternative, which I think would have been a really shitty thing.
This age limit, though, is across the board for tobacco products.
Right.
So we would also be treating the population in the same way, the people who are vaping in the same manner as the people who are smoking. So there's some kind of mental gymnastic equivalence happening in all of that as well. And with anything, I get why this plan is being heralded as, such a great public health policy, but ultimately this is kind of a prohibition light. We're using force, we're using coercion to stop something that's ever present in our world. This is kind of one of those drug policies where we're not taking into account, or at least they claim they're taking into account, that cigarettes will still be available around the globe, which leaves ample room for importation. Which leaves ample room for a black market and an illicit market that does not care about age verification whatsoever and does not care about product standards whatsoever. And on all the other issues that come with that, the criminality that comes with that. So all of those issues will be ever present. And I think with a policy like this, you're not going to get the change that you want right away, obviously. That you're going to have that those 18-year-olds or 21-year-olds. I'm not sure exactly what the age policies are in New Zealand currently. I believe they're still 18. So you're still going to have those younger kids who are close to that age, who have older siblings, or, I mean, good Lord, my parents bought me cigarettes when I was young. That's still going to very much happen. And we know through data, through hard evidence, that most youths do not get their tobacco products from a convenience store or retailer or anything like that to begin with. It's particularly with vapor products. They get them through social media, through Snapchat, through Instagram, through wherever. So this will do absolutely nothing to stop that. These products will still be imported by people who can buy them of age or purchased by people who can buy them of age, and we'll turn around and sell them happily to people who are under, particularly adults who are cut out of this. The next argument here for me is autonomy. If you're an adult, you should have the right to choose what you can and what you can and can't put into your own body. So we're taking rights away from some adults, but not other adults. So if you're already doing this thing, you can continue to do it. But you, other adult, who are not doing this thing, you cannot do this. I find a lot of issues in that. I'm kind of just waiting for the lawsuits to roll around. That's going to be a very real thing, especially when we're talking about challenging people's autonomy in that way. So I think this is going to be an interesting thing to see, watch, and watch play out. But ultimately, I think there's a lot of really good intentions here. But I don't necessarily agree with the overall approach. I would much rather see advertising and further marketing restrictions on combustible tobacco. I would much rather see safer alternatives promoted widely, like absolutely as widely as possible, and let people make informed choices for themselves.
Yeah, it was like if you can give people the option.
And them claiming that they don't have a tobacco control policy in place in New Zealand is just utter garbage. It's just utter garbage. They absolutely do have tobacco control policies in New Zealand. So to claim that, we won't get there without one, they already have them. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on all of this. Is I think there's a lot of good intention here, but as with most things involving drugs, coercive policies, coercive measures, challenging people's autonomy, and hoping and praying that there won't be an illicit market, all just sounds like trouble to me.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. If you look
So I think there's a lot of good intention here. I think that it has a chance to succeed, but overall, I think there are some major gaps in this policy.
And you said that, like, when we were talking about this yesterday, trying to discuss some things about it, you actually brought a note to me of a place in Massachusetts who was kind of doing a similar kind of thing. You wanted to kind of share that with the chat a little bit and what you found out about that?
Yeah, Massachusetts is doing, a small town in Massachusetts is doing the same thing. Let's see if I can, here, I'll share this article from Time.
I put it in chat already.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's see here. Essentially the same thing.
Like,
let's see. I can't remember the name of the town. Brookline.
Yeah,
Brookline, Massachusetts. Recently became the first town in the U.S. to ban tobacco sales based not on current age, but on birth date. Anyone born after January 1st, 2000 will never be able to buy tobacco there, no matter how old they are.
Or vaping products, it says right here.
Legally. Yes, tobacco products, they kind of just encompass into one big thing. And that's the goal, I guess. That's their prohibition light goal. Again, I mean, you're one small town. People are just going to go to the next town. I think something like this here is going to fail miserably.
Yeah.
I just don't. Prohibition doesn't work, man. It hasn't worked for the better half of a century in this country with many drugs. It isn't going to work now with cigarettes, especially a legal product that is sold widely around the world, imported around the world, exported around the world, especially in one town, surrounded, by other towns that aren't doing this. So yeah. I can see the hope in policies like this. I can see the good intentions in policies like this, but knowing the drug market, knowing the illicit drug market, and how quickly products can be moved around, how available products are to people just in general, particularly our youth, I don't think this policy is going to be enough. And in fact, I actually think it's going to cause more harm than good.
Because this bill is co-sponsored by Catherine Silbaugh. She's I believe she's a pharmacist and I think a lawyer as well, to where she's part of like the board over there in Brookline. And what are some of her examples with putting this through and kind of having her motivation towards it was, she says right here, is like, Brookline doesn't control the tobacco market, but single towns have helped spark big changes before. And then she made examples of more than a decade ago, Needham, Massachusetts, a town less than 10 miles away from Brookline, became the first place in the country to raise the local age of tobacco sales for 21. And now it's a federal law. And then she made examples as well, which were the bans on plastic bags being done at the local level, and now it's adopted by some states. So that's her kind of motivation behind wanting to introduce this as well, which I can see that. Yeah, of course, having the motivation
just to throw it out there as a reminder, just because a policy is adopted on a larger scale does not mean it's a good policy.
Right. It's just her motivation behind all of this, and kind of what drives her to want to push this through, hoping that this is a situation where it starts on a local level and just grows on a more grander scale, which we stated within New Zealand. It's like, it has good intentions, but overall it's taken away
And I think the ratcheting of nicotine in currently available cigarettes is also problematic. We know that people who can afford to smoke more will smoke more. People who refuse to quit and can afford to do so will smoke more. I also don't really understand the reasoning behind eliminating filters.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Not that filters do a massive amount of good.
Yeah.
But the eliminating of them, I don't know if it's to force current people who smoke to enjoy them even less, getting bits of tobacco on your tongue and things like that.
Yeah.
I think filters do create a certain sense that they're safer, but to a younger generation who's never known unfiltered cigarettes, I don't think there's any additional sense of these being somehow safer. I think to the older generation, when filters were first introduced, I think that there was definitely some kind of sense that, oh, these are safer for me, these are better for me because they're filtered. And we know that those filters on cigarettes don't do nearly what they were originally claimed to do. So with younger generations who don't know that difference, I don't think there's any additional false sense of security. So removing them, I don't really see much point, I guess, other than trying to, again, further, coerce people who currently smoke to enjoy what they're doing that much less. It just feels like a very forced thing, like a very, very coercive, very, very forceful tactic. And it's just something I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah, you're talking about how, like, when it comes to the filters and the cigarettes, and how about the newer generations, that if this ever came into place where the new generations won't know about cigarettes having filters, and it's a true thing. I don't know, like I said before, the intentions are good, but execution is a little off.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a massive change. You may see a sharp initial drop when this policy goes into place, just because there are people out there who are currently smoking, who are not heavily dependent, and may see this as one more reason to quit, and will put down the habit. So you may see that initial drop, but I don't think you're going to see a real prevalence change in younger people for a number of years, because that gap between their older siblings, their older friends, or whatever, who are going to buy them cigarettes, you may see this a more dramatic or more steady incline as time goes on, as that gap widens between those who are currently able and legally able to go purchase cigarettes and those who are younger. As that gap widens over the years, we may start to see a bigger decrease. But again, we're still introducing and welcoming with open arms an illicit market. So again, New Zealand, I guess we'll see how it plays out. I wish New Zealanders the best of luck, I guess, in this, but ultimately, I don't personally think this is a good policy. I think this has a lot of good intentions, but ultimately, the road to hell is paved with those.
Yeah.
So
it's just more flawed policy that's about to go through. Because then it's just leaving the ballpark open for so many underground markets to kind of come in the woodworks and just kind of take over the market.
New Zealand has seen massive drops in smoking already, and I think that they're already on the right track in allowing adults to make informed choices, continuing to inform the policy, inform the public. I think all of those measures that they have been taking have been showing good results on their own. And I personally would love to see New Zealand nix this whole plan and just continue the path that they've been on, which again respects people's choices, respects adults' autonomy, does not exclude some adults from this, does not further stigmatize adults who do continue to smoke, because as that carries on, you're going to be left with, you know, the old people who smoke, and they're going to be the dirty pariahs of society, and they'll be targeted in that manner because we've set this law. And you're also at the same time kind of saying, well, those people who are going to die from smoking, we're going to let those folks die off. We're just going to let these people die off so we can achieve our goal.
Yeah, I'm not for that.
And so all around, again, I just don't agree with this policy as a whole. From a harm reduction standpoint, I would prefer to not have a prohibition on tobacco of any kind. I would just prefer to see public education, public health education, be open and honest about alternatives, and promote those alternatives. Continue to do that. Continue to respect adult autonomy, and keep the illicit market as at bay as possible, while people choose for themselves what they want to put into their body.
Yeah, because for me personally, with the vaping market to continue to strive and to get people off cigarettes and different kind of tobacco products, the tobacco industry needs to be prevalent. Obviously, there needs to be people smoking. There needs to be people that are using that product to know there's a different alternative that can give them the choice to still get their nicotine and do something way healthier than smoke cigarettes. So it's like the vaping industry kind of strives off the kind of the tobacco industry still kind of moving, because that's getting more people to make the switch every single day. To me, at least. So it's like,
sure. I think at some point I would love to see a world where human beings just across the board, people who just start to use nicotine, people who've been using nicotine for decades, are just using safer alternatives. I would love to see the cigarette be a sunset product, but completely by consumer choice. I would like to see the cigarette become obsolete because human beings have deemed it so, not because bureaucrats have deemed it so. I would like to see consumers as a whole, as a population, human beings, make the cigarette obsolete of our own volition, as opposed to
a hell of a
coercive, forced policy.
100%. It's like, well, because you think about it, that's how the vaping industry started. We found an alternative that's safer, and what do we do? In our heads, we made cigarettes obsolete. So it's like, if a community of millions of people can have that kind of mindset, why can't an entire country eventually have that mindset? Why can't an entire continent have that kind of mindset down the road? It's things like that are going to take so much time, so much, like when it comes to correct policy, to get that kind of information going, because that's what you need to do. You need to have the government bring out the policy to where the information showing that this is a safer alternative needs to be widely available and promoted in a lot of different ways. When it comes to marketing it and all that kind of stuff, there's so many things that need to be done for that mindset to come to tuition. It's just not something that will ever happen overnight.
No, and I think even with this goal, even with this policy being implemented, the idea of New Zealand being smoke-free by 2025, well, I guess is a plausible thing. it just seems a bit unlikely.
Well, because you look at countries.
I
Like,
think the aspirations are great though. Like
right.
you know,
You look at countries like
I
Sweden,
love the ambition.
who have promoted themselves to be, I think, almost to that point to where their smoking rates are so low to where they consider themselves a smoke-free country. And what things that they use for marketing, they use for promoting a safer alternative, which is their biggest one is snus, and they market that like crazy over there.
Oh, in Sweden, a huge percentage of men across the board use snus, and we have 40 plus years of scientific evidence behind the efficacy and safety of snus. And in fact, Sweden has one of the highest tobacco use prevalences in the world amongst the male population, while simultaneously having some of the lowest cancer rates amongst men in the population. And that's almost entirely, yeah, I know, that's almost entirely due to snus just being freely available and adults, consumers, openly, willingly switching. Or not ever starting combustible use and only ever starting with a product like snus. And I think that alone, like that right there, is a much better approach. And that's not to say that Sweden does everything right. Their policies with certain other nicotine products are not great. And we see that a lot in the EU. If you look at the flip side of that, if you look at, well, I guess not the EU, but if you were to look at England, if you look at what they're doing in the UK, widely promoting vaping. Vape shops are in hospitals, but at the same time, the flip side of that is they still have banned snus. So we love to hail the UK as this tobacco harm reduction capital of the world, but ultimately they're not. They're maybe the lower milligram vape capital of the world. But the TPD still has a lot of ridiculous restrictions that just get in the way of people making the switch and make it difficult for people. And then also limiting the tools that are available in the toolbox by banning products like snus. So around the world, we just see a lot of kind of mixed, poor policy.
Mm-hmm. To where it's like, if just imagine taking all the good sides of different policies around the world when it comes to snus, vaping, and all that stuff, and just take them and bunch them all together, all the beneficial ones that will benefit pretty much everybody in the end. Putting all this together, that's, in my example, what would be the policy.
Yeah, I think the best possible thing that we could do is just open the doors to safer alternatives, promote them to the public, increase marketing restrictions, I suppose I could see, and come to some kind of agreement. I don't necessarily agree with plain packaging or packaging like again in the UK that shows all these harms and exaggerations of like black lungs and things like that on cigarette packs. I don't necessarily think that instilling extreme fear into people and using propaganda in that way is a great approach either. I think personally, just open, honest communication with the public, promoting safer alternatives, maybe again some more marketing restrictions on combustible tobacco, and allowing adults to make informed decisions on their own, I think is the ultimate way to go. I think it's the best way to approach getting people to switch. I think it's the best way to approach a smoke-free society while simultaneously, not encouraging a bigger black market than there already is. I live in New York State, and over 50% of the cigarettes sold in New York State are illicit. So we already have a massive black market while things are legally available. I mean, we see this in, other states with cannabis and high taxes and illicit markets. It's such a thin line, that we have to walk in the way that we can do this while respecting people's autonomy, limiting the black market, limiting negative outcomes, and still moving towards our goal. Sure, it takes longer, but from a human rights perspective, from an autonomy perspective, it's a much better choice.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you. So, if you want to keep up to date on that stuff, of course, the links are in chat for you guys. The Guardian link is a good one at that time. That the Time one is a really good one to talk about what is happening within Massachusetts. But we wanted to move over to something that everybody in chat should have done at least once. The e-cig intelligence consumer survey for vaping still going on. Me and Logan were having talks about this yesterday, how as of right now, this is probably the least participated survey that's...
Sure. This e-cig intelligence has done this for a number of years, and this is by and large the lowest participation they've seen. They're actually still asking at this point, still asking for participants. Last I knew, there were about 1,000 participants short. Assuming, I guess, hopefully assuming that people have continued to do this, that more people have done this. I'm sure there's still a good few hundred shy at this point. So yeah, I mean, this is a survey that's not only used by the industry, but it's used by consumer groups. CASA uses this information. We relay this information to lawmakers. All of this stuff that's in this survey is very useful to organizations, not only in the industry, but consumer organizations, to gauge where we're at, essentially.
Why do you think it's at that point to being at the lowest it's been, you think?
I just think it's the state of, personally, I think it's the state of advocacy right now, just as a whole. I think there's so much burnout. I think that people are tired. I think that people are kind of leaving. I mean, I've been here now. I've been vaping for a little over 4 years, 4.5 years or so now, and actively advocating for the past 3.5, almost 4 years of that. And there are so many people that I knew from just 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that are gone. Advocates, tireless advocates at the time, that have just stepped down. They've left. And I see this all the time on Twitter. I see the amount of people who are still really actively engaging in these topics diminishing. And I think this survey, e-cigarette intelligence survey, having such a low turnout, I think ultimately says a lot about the state of advocacy in general, where vapors are at currently, and just kind of where we're at currently.
Yeah, it's hard not to get burnt out on this kind of stuff, really, because it's just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. It's just to the point where you say you have confidence on each topic you talk about, having confidence that every negative policy that comes out can be overturned. It's hard to keep on saying the same thing over and over when it comes to... It is.
And I'll tell you what, I get burnout from time to time too. And I try to pace myself. I take breaks from being, hyper focused on this. But the one thing that I will always remind myself is, when it comes to people who have been advocates and activists fighting the war on drugs, who have been doing this for literal decades while watching their friends and families and communities be incarcerated or watch them die, are still out there fighting every day, are still being loud every day. And those are the people that I look up to when I get burnout, and I think about the people, again, who've been doing this stuff for decades, and they're still standing, they're still there, they're still fighting that same war. And so I just try to remind myself of that. I'm like, look, if these people can do this, then absolutely we can.
Yeah, it's just, everybody has their kind of mental hump they have to get over when it comes to that kind of thing. I mean,
I just encourage breaks. You guys, like, Twitter will be there when you get back. Writing to your politicians will be there when you get back. Take a break, take a breath. This is we're in this for the long haul. We're not going to be done fighting for people's rights tomorrow. It's not going to be next week. It's not going to be next month. We're here for the long haul. And if you've ever taken a real long road trip, a real long drive, sometimes you have to stop, stretch your legs, take a pee, get a drink. So take those breaks. This is a long drive, you guys. Take those breaks.
Like, if you have that mental
but also
kind of
do
thing,
the survey.
to where you like, I'm just going to take a month just to not be so heavy into it. That's perfect.
Absolutely have, dude. I've basically, before taken like a month off, other than maybe doing shows or something like that, something that's scheduled, but like I've taken time away from things like Twitter and stuff to just focus on other things, focus on the other aspects of life that are just as important.
Yeah, there's more to life than just fighting harm reduction advocacy.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I feel like people are also, one of the reasons why it's so low is people are finding more like finding out about that more. Is like they have more things that go on to focus on with their life right now. They have to focus on their family. Focus
Sure. I
on
mean,
other things.
we're also still very much in the middle of a pandemic. I think that people are preoccupied. I think that people's priorities have shifted in the past few years greatly. So I think there's a lot of reasons for it. But definitely continue to share this. If you have not done this survey yet, it only takes a handful of minutes. It maybe takes 7 minutes or so if you just answer the questions and head right through it. Kristen actually did a walkthrough. She took the survey on a CASA live stream not too long ago, and that took a while because we all were chattering, talking, answering questions, things like that. So that took a little while for her to get through. But when I did the survey, it took me maybe 7 or so minutes, 7-8 minutes to get through, and I was done. And again, all of that information is super, super important to not only consumers, but to industry. And, when presenting to lawmakers and such about policies, these things are important. So
Here, yeah, let's see.
do the survey. If you haven't done the survey, go do the survey.
Yeah, it's a great little thing they got going there. They've been doing it for years, and I always encourage doing it. Go, if you have the opportunity, now we share the link with you guys. Of course, you can always Google e-cig intelligence survey. Probably one of the first links that pops up for it will be the link that we've shared for you guys. Share it around in your local Facebook groups, your local vaping Facebook groups, your local. If you have it, work at a shop, put that link on an iPad or something.
The floor is yours for just a moment, Corey.
Yep. Put that link on an iPad to have it available for consumers to come in. To where, let's say, if you work in a shop, tell them that if they do this survey really quick, you get 20% off your purchase. Give that kind of little bit of motivation to do it. Get these consumers to want to do it. Give kind of a little bit of an incentive. That's always what I kind of encourage when it comes to people putting surveys and stuff onto like a storefront, because you're still gonna be making money. The markup you're gonna be making for these products are still gonna be significant. It's not like you're gonna be losing money if you keep on offering people 20% discounts. You may not be making the crazy markup that you would be on e-liquids and all that kind of stuff, but you're still going to be making money. Even though your bottom end, you might be making a little bit less, you're still going to be kind of helping yourself in the long run, helping people get involved. So my recommendation is, if you're working at a shop right now, or if you're a shop owner watching this, bring up that idea. Bring an iPad in. Put it next to the register to where, just a real quick situation. You fill out the survey, show the person behind the desk, and if they do it, 20% off your purchase. Simple.
That would be dope. That seems like a lot, though. I mean, for anybody do it, I don't want to tell shops how to run, but any kind of extra incentive. I mean, even something as simple as whatever the tax rate is in your state, give them that off, kind of a tax-free deal. And you get 10% off shipping.
Yeah.
Something like that, or free shipping. I'm always like, oh, cool. That's basically the sales tax, something like that. Great incentive. Any incentive to save people a couple of bucks to do something like this is great. Again, I don't want to tell shops who are already struggling financially to give people discounts and make less money. But that would be dope if they're willing to do that. I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because that's what consumers look for. They look for the deal. They look for the incentive, because
they're like, oh, fuck, I can save $5 here today if I take a few minutes and fill out this survey.
Yeah, you're most likely going to be standing there bullshitting, talking to the guy behind the desk for a good 5-6 minutes most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why not bullshit with them as you're sitting in front of the iPad, frickin' clicking in a multiple choice kind of thing?
Perfect.
And it's just, I think it's time to, after this, of course, kind of take a deep breath with all the stuff going on. Kind of just mellow down. It's getting towards the end here. And I wanted to end this on a pretty funny note. So, if you guys haven't seen the show before, once in a while, I try to go to different news sites, what comes like the HuffPost and all the kind of thing, news articles going around the world, where something that's either weird, funny, or just bizarre. I used to do the point to where I used to read off weird laws from different states. I used to go to the point to where some just funny things, news articles happening about animals and all that kind of stuff. Well, I found one that is pretty freaking awesome, and if any THC user in this chat right now will find this pretty interesting as well. So this was posted on 12/7/21 by David Moyle over at the HuffPost, and the headline of this article is 850-pound pot brownie brings new meaning to getting baked.
Oh my God.
So
Okay, I'm waiting for the link now because I need to see this.
I saw this yesterday. I was like, this is outrageous, and I love it.
850 pounds.
Well, just wait until the details about this thing I start reading them off. So, this supersized marijuana treat contains a whopping 20,000 milligrams of THC. I feel like that's enough THC to put an elephant down.
Oh my gosh.
So, a pop brownie made this week
20,000 milligrams.
in Norwood, Massachusetts is bringing... Wait, Norwood? I think that's... Wow. I've actually been in Norwood, Massachusetts before. Is bringing the new meaning to the term getting baked. That's because the dank dessert treat is an 850-pound monster measuring in 3 feet wide, 3 feet long, and 15 inches high, and contains more than 20,000 milligrams of THC.
Holy fuck.
The massive marijuana brownie was created by MariMed, a multi-state cannabis operator, to celebrate National Brownie Day on December 8th and to promote the company's new brand, Bubby's Baked. Besides the cannabis, the behemoth brownie also contains 1,344 eggs, 250 pounds of sugar, 212 pounds of butter, 81 pounds of flour, and 122 pounds of cocoa powder, among other ingredients. A team of 5 cannabis confectioners needed 24 hours to make the brownie. It wasn't easy, according to MariMed official Ryan Crandall. One of the hardest parts was stabilizing the brownie. We built a pallet and some supports to fortify the table that sat to ensure the 850-pound brownie was safe. Let's see. He also said that the pop brownie's THC content was equivalent to 4,000 of the company's normal-sized brownies, which contains 5 milligrams each. And they let's see, the plan to sell the giant brownie is to sell the giant brownie to a medical marijuana patient in Massachusetts. Wait, like one patient?
The 20,000 milligrams of THC in the brownie actually falls within the max allowed for a medical patient within the state.
I'll have the 800. I'll have the
850-pound brownie, please.
I brought my pickup for that. Just throw it in back.
Oh my gosh.
So
I like
all
this,
the cannabis
this
creation
part
is
here, though.
larger
Yeah.
than the current record holder for the world's largest brownie, which is 243 pounds, the Guinness World Record. Apparently isn't that high on including it in a future book. So a MariMed rep said the company applied to have their brownie considered, but the Guinness World Record response is no longer accepting applicants or creates the new world record title that are related to the consumption, preparation, or use of tobacco, cannabis, or nicotine products. So Guinness World Records isn't really doing anything with those.
Stigma much, Guinness?
But looking at the picture of this brownie, whoa.
I mean, my God, dude. Like, it's a massive block of THC and cocoa and butter.
9.5 Curatics, that just says.
That's insanity.
Oh, imagine.
And 1,344 eggs.
I wonder if that would back you up if, like, you ate a good chunk of that. You'd probably be stoned off your ass, but it'd probably plug you up like a fucking LA freeway.
Bro.
Ooh. That's just... like, the moment I read that, like, headline yesterday, I was like,
this is...
What? It's insane.
So I vote that we get a whole bunch of us, and we sit down and we eat the brownie.
You come into this room and you get a spoon.
Yeah. You're just like greeted with a spoon. You're like, hello, welcome.
That should be
welcome
like a
to the
flyer for this thing. Like, leave your lighters at home. Only spoons available here.
Just bring a spoon. BYOS.
Bring your own spoon.
Bring your own spoons.
I wonder how many, okay, so it's what they say, average around, like, what is it, 4,000 of these brownies? I think it was. What I think was it said, where is it? Yeah, 4,000 the company's normal size brownies, which is 5 milligrams each. So, okay, so for an average consumption of somebody who's eating one brownie, you would need 4,000 people to finish this thing.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is, if they cut this correctly, they've already prepped 4,000 brownies.
Which I want to see how much of those things they
in
sell
one
per
go.
year.
If you can cut this into 4,000 pieces, you've just made your entire all of your brownies for the next, I don't know, month.
I don't think brownies last that long, and they're gonna get stale pretty quickly.
Okay,
so
I
people
want to
better
look at the picture here because just looking at the people standing around it, this bearded dude looks like he is lit AF.
Dude, they are all so happy about this brownie.
They're so happy, and they're probably stoned holding this thing right now. Because I feel like
believe-
if you're around, what was it, the 20,000 milligrams of THC, I feel like there's fumes involved in it. And I feel like
most likely cooking.
there's gonna be some point that you're gonna partaking in a
You're getting a
non-planned
cooking
way
contact high
because
somewhere around here.
like their eyes, like that dude looked like his eyes are starting to close a little bit. His smile is the happiest he could be, and like these are just happy people making weed brownies, people, which I think is pretty awesome. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
I just can't stop staring at this brick because it honestly looks like it's burnt. To be honest.
I mean, I would assume that the edges of this thing have got to be burnt. I mean, the amount of time and heat that it would take to cook something that large and that dense
that's
is just wild.
like the even cooking of that is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a
the
very, very
center of
dry
it is
brownie.
still raw. I bet if they cut into it, the very center of it's still raw. Because it's just a block. I mean, that's wild.
It's just a block of flour, THC, eggs, and butter.
Yeah, and cocoa.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of like show a couple of friends this because I think some of the Shed Time crew would get a good kick out of this.
Oh, sure. Absolutely, they will. I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
But I wanted to end it on a high note, if that.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Hey.
I see what you did there.
So if you want to share this around with your kind of partaking buddies just to get a good laugh and see how people would react to having a 850-pound weed brownie in front of them. Yeah, that's
There you
just...
go. It's a real thing. It exists.
It happened. It exists. And I just wanted to give that out there. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much what we have for you guys today. So thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. If you haven't already, hit that like button. It would help us out a lot.
Smash it.
Just smash it. Unlike it, then like it again. Just
a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, just
make
click
sure
it. Click it. Click it 3 times.
That you,
Wait, no.
Odd numbers only.
Yeah, odd numbers only. Right. But other than that, yeah. Logan, you want to end like how you end it usually? Say where we can find you, what you got going on.
Oh, shameless plug time?
Yeah.
Sure. I have a whole mess of stuff going on, and anybody who's been following me on Instagram knows that my live streams are kind of all over the place right now. But regularly, you can find me every Sunday. First, you can find me every Saturday over on the CASA live channel on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Twitter. You can find me, Alex, and Kristen, and possibly guests every Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern for CASA Live. And then the next night, Sunday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, you can find me over on my Instagram channel, Logan _ Exhales, at 8 o'clock for the come down, which I drink beer and I vape the things and we hang out and we chat and it's a real good time. I'm actually starting tomorrow, kind of doing some trial runs for Twitter Spaces, which are audio only kind of listening space rooms where people can join and be speakers and things like that. And I think it's a really cool, nifty thing. I'm going to be starting those this week, tomorrow, in fact, at 11 a.m. Eastern. So if anybody's interested in joining that, you can. Again, same thing on Twitter, Logan _ Exhales. I think that's it. I think that's it for me and my shameless plugs, content-wise. Yeah.
Cool. Well, other than that, you can find me over here doing my normal stuff. You can see us bi-weekly, as usual, when it comes to our episodes of What's in the News. And, of course, if you're a craft beer lover like me and Logan, you can catch me over here almost every day when I'm not working, doing craft beer reviews when I can. Always doing stuff, always, kind of reviewing different beers and trying new stuff, because it's just a fun time. But other than that, that is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. So again, thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. Thank you to my co-host Logan for tuning in and being here with me this week. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, fantastic weekend, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. So take care
For our New Year's episode.
Yeah, right before New Year's. So we'll see you